Hi, I am Aaron Johnson. This is Michael Majette, the odd geek himself. We're back at Moldiversity. It's been a good minute. We're having a little, we hadn't done an interview in a minute. We have someone really special here today. Moldiversity, we're all about championing, every single voice possible within the realms of creativity. So I
Yes.
want to bring in the one of the greatest makeup artists that I have recently finally found a face to the name,
Yeah.
Mr. Donald Mowat. How are you doing, Donald?
I'm really well. Thank you. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
Oh, doing great.
Doing well, doing well. We are so happy to have you here and have this conversation with us.
Yes, yes. I mean,
My
like
pleasure.
watching Tron Ares specifically, I recognize that style because I've seen a lot of your effects on, different things, in Skyfall and stuff. But like I said, I finally get a face to the name because as I'm, going through your entire, uh, history of this, I'm just like, oh my gosh, you captured the imagery of my teen years, and that alone, I'm just like, thank you for that. That is just you're masterful at this stuff.
Very great in your vision and your eye and attention to detail is very fascinating. But I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Oh, it's always harder to be on this side of the camera. I'm used to being behind everything. And but my name's Donald Mowat. I've been working in movie making and film and TV for well, I got to admit, it's 41 years. So uh
Congrats.
Wow.
yeah, a lot of anniversaries coming up. And yeah, that's it. I'm here in Los Angeles. Uh, it's what I do. It's everything probably. It defines me more than just about anything is working in movies and television. It's my life,
Mhm.
really, my whole life. Um, and that's really all I think people who know and love movies relate to it.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think yeah, that's really it.
Yeah.
Okay. Love that. Love that. So we're just gonna start with the conversation and
Sure.
just go ahead and start with the first question. The film is a bold new vision of the future of Tron, and how did you begin shaping the visual language of the world through makeup design?
Well, it was a big undertaking because initially, I always sort of look at the bigger picture of how this will be. At first, I wasn't sure if I would be running. I was thinking, would I run the hair and the makeup overall? Would I find a great colleague that could come and team with me? It was really dependent on a lot of things. The studio were really good to me and left it up to me how I
Mhm.
want to put this together. Um, I didn't know a lot about Tron. I mean, I'd seen it, and I I guess I think all of us do this when you're not sure, uncertain, or it makes me nervous. It makes me want to do it.
Yeah.
There's something when I get that feeling in my stomach that makes me a little bit anxious. I think then that's the job I should be doing. Um,
Absolutely.
it's a challenge, And so the first thing was I didn't rewatch the other movies. I looked at them briefly. That's not my style. I just figured that's what they did. This is what
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
do. And the producers were interviewed me before I was hired and did actually ask me like, what are you planning? And that's a loaded question for somebody like me because I always sort of wait and go, well, what are we planning? Because it's not me, it's we. And I
Mhm.
think that we're making a film together. And I wish more people would work with the we instead of what I want. And I think I kind of got a vibe of Joachim. Certainly Joachim really knew what he wanted.
Mhm.
And then I start with the cinematographer, Jeff Cronenweth, who's an old friend. You kind of build from what other people looking at the costumes and the suits is first thing for me was seeing that.
Nice. Ooh, I like that
Yeah,
that you
that
saw
that
the
makes a lot of
sequel.
sense. And
It makes sense.
would you say that with the knowledge that you have after, conversing with these teams, it gives you a better idea because when I looked at your just to kind of put you on blast, but looking at your Instagram and you had all of these, different looks, especially like the one that interested me the most was when you referenced cubism with Evan Peters' design. How does I guess the question would be how does because it's art history, different forms of art play
Mhm.
into, the things that you've discussed with these people.
Well, I'm so glad you asked about that because a lot of people limit makeup to, well, I mean, to be fair, a lot of people just put it down as makeup. They just think we
Mm-hmm.
just make people look pretty, or we make them, we do monster makeup. We do everything. But it all comes from something. I mean, if you can say, a song is inspired by, but for me, there is a lot of inspiration behind the idea of the tattoo was really Evan sparked it because Evan Peters, who's remarkable, when I met him in LA, early pre-production, we talked about the character and what he was doing. And I looked at what Alex Friedberg, costume designer, was doing and thought, well, what's there for me in here? Like, what are we talking about? And the thing that became interesting was, and he put it in my head, and he gets all the credit for that, was, well, if I had a tattoo, will it show? And I thought, well, should it? Is it a hidden kind of a secret? Because that's really what people did. There was once upon a time, people wore long sleeves all the time. And when you saw the reveal became, oh my God, that was really, you know, danger. It was something kind of sexy and hidden. Um, so there was something about him, and it became when he put that in my head, it got me drawn to think, well, yeah, but what is it? And right away, Evan said something about the grid and TRON, and I saw an old keyboard from a computer that had, when they talk floppy disk and all of that, and I started looking and he sent me a couple things. And then I did cross reference of seeing people like David Beckham and people who have extensive tattoos that are sort of very masculine
Yeah.
in the style and the graphic nature of them. But with Evan, I felt like it was linear. It was definitely the grid. There was something, when you see the subway line in New York or the lines like that. And that's kind of how that started. And it just grew because he was never supposed to have that much exposed skin. And I
Mhm.
really thought we should have had a scene where his shirt came off.
Mhm.
I'm not in charge, but in my world, I think there's a lot about a character who hides something,
Mhm.
you know. Anyway, yeah, so that's really, but yes, and where it comes from, everything comes from something. I mean, every design, every fashion, every makeup is kind of, it came from some idea. You might be driving along or you're in a museum and you see something and go, that's it,
Mhm.
kind of the vibe.
Nice. I love that because I was drawn to his character and his design with that tattoo. And I kept, every time I saw it, I kept looking at it and I was like, and then when Aaron brought it up, I was like, oh my God, that makes perfect sense. And just hearing you explain that, I love that that was included for that character.
Oh yes.
Um, Speaking about the different characters and the realm of diversity with these characters, how was it depicting these characters of the diversity and the different skin tones and the different programming and cultures for this universe. How did that play a part to your makeup design? Because I loved how Jodie Foster looked the entire movie. Her skin was flawless. Her makeup design, the eyeliner, I love that. But how did that correlate with all of the different characters?
Well, with Jody, so what's interesting for me really is people who know me and how I work. For me, it's I have both sides. I want both sides to be, I like to work on films that have representation, true representation. And that's got to be in front and behind the camera. So for me, that's the first step was the team has to reflect the diversity of the cast and vice versa. And so right away, assembling my team became, my whole team sort of reflected the cast because we were made up of people who were of very broad, different skin tones, different, from LGBTQ plus, people of color, Latino, Black, different people. So the team represented that because everybody on the team, we sort of mirrored the cast.
Oh,
And that's something I work very, very hard at. It's been kind of a big part of my professional life, and people who know that about me. What was interesting with the cast, so for instance, when we talk about, say, lighting, when you work with the director of photography like Jeff, and you have three distinct characters that are going to be on camera, who are actually three very different looking people and
mhm.
are three distinct racial and ethnic backgrounds, and how you're lighting everybody within the same sphere. And so that for me was really interesting. For instance, Jodie Turner Smith, who I'd met, I did a little makeup test on her here in LA. And I remember thinking, this could have a challenge when we're in Tron lighting, because some of that lighting might actually could make Jodie a little ash. It could, if it's lit for Aries and all that red, is that red going to be good for me or bad? The blue.
Mm,
So you really become more knowledgeable as a makeup artist, but also the actors were learning because I would, say to Jodie, like the initial color I did for her lips to be like a no color, but I always, channeled Grace Jones with Jodie, and we love it, and she loves it, and
yes, we
you,
saw that on your
you know,
Instagram. We loved that was one of the things we like screamed
oh,
about.
Yeah.
We love that you had Grace Jones as an
Yes.
inspiration for her. We love that.
we had a number. I showed her a number of things at first to see how she would connect, because every actor, and she's a newer actor, you have to remember,
Hmm.
I saw her first film and I was a big proponent of Queen and Slim.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when I saw that, I was very excited to work with her. She's a model background, that she would be excited. Now, the whole eyebrow thing kind of was a happy accident
Mm.
because
Oh.
what happened there. So a number of things. When we did the test, Greta was sort of evolving. Was she going to have this sort of modern, like really modern short hair with minimalist makeup, or were we going to go a more traditional? Because, excuse me, again, in film, as you know, is a lot of stereotypes, and you often
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
Asian women with like either no makeup or too much.
Hmm.
And so I've kind of looking at it thinking, well, what's the balance? And with Jodie, when I finally saw her in the suit,
Mhm.
everything was done for me. I went, this is what's happening. It's the face,
Mhm.
it's fierce. She's a soldier, she's a warrior, but
Mhm.
in a way we don't see too often because there are no eyelashes. We did a very minimal it, but her idea about the brows, in the camera test, we covered them for her. First time we did it just with makeup color to make them lighter. And then she said, I want to cover them. Let's try eyebrow cover. Well, we did a mock up, me and the team, and Naomi and Sabrina did a sort of mock up. And Jodie was like, this is what it is.
Mm.
And I was like, no, 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 no. Like, a lot of people got to decide here. And the next day, I'm just going to say it's out anyway. Um, Jodie shaved her eyebrows.
Mm. Hmm.
But now I had a little mild cardiac because everybody was calling the
Right.
phone, the studio, the director, and they weren't happy. But
Oh no.
I believed, you know, that's an inspiration. She saw
Mhm.
something in what we had done and went further. Now, I would advise people don't ever do that again, because I was like, you really have some
Yeah.
takes. And I said that to her.
Yeah.
But coming newer to film and from fashion, I think she just thought, well, we're going to make it work. And we did, because I figured out, I thought there's something interesting in this.
Mhm.
Um, and years and years and years ago, I had worked with Mike Germain, who looked after Whoopi
Mm.
Goldberg,
Hmm.
who had no eyebrows. And I thought, Donald, there's a way to do this. We can make this work and make it kind of, I'd done Dune films where,
Mhm.
we block a lot of eyebrows. So I thought there is a way to make this work and be very beautiful and very aesthetic. So I played with eyeshadow and that doing, the way we sort of did it back in the 80s, where you kind of joined the eye like this. You made it kind of in this direction. So I kind of brought it up and then sort of created something where the brow would have been. And then Jody took it further by saying we should try a pencil and do like it's just changing its opposites.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I worked like that quite a lot, and it worked. And she agreed, and we just kept going, and that was it. And that helmet on, and then it worked. And
Yes.
bleaching hair because originally she was going to have different hair, which was no bueno. It really was not going to work. This was the look. And Camille, who I brought on board to do the hair for the film, had it bleached and maintained it. And Jody had a colorist who does her hair, and it just was a perfect accident.
When I say Jody looked amazing
Yes.
throughout every scene, I every time she came on the screen, I was drawn to her. And as somebody who I do drag, and I
Mhm.
was just like, I have to do this look, like
Yep.
because I saw it. Then when Aaron sent me your Instagram with the Grace Jones, I was like, oh, it makes perfect sense. And I love that beautiful accident for y'all. I really do.
Yeah,
I really
it
do.
was perfect. It was flawless. And I think just kind of acknowledging, everything you've done. For me personally, that comes from a lot of wisdom. And I
Mhm.
think we as, viewers, we do kind of need to appreciate, openly appreciate what you guys do more because I mean, like I said, my entire teen years, even my childhood, you shape the imagery, not just, we see it on screen, but not just, in terms of directing. You're doing your
Sure.
own language within the makeup, and I just think that's fascinating.
It very is fascinating. Really,
That's
really, really
beautifully
fascinating.
said. I really appreciate that because
Yes.
we need a little bit of that sometimes because it's very hard.
Yeah.
It's emotional for me sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because remember that, living out loud. I mean, you're living in a way you're trying to do what you do in your world, but you have a lot of people, you have a lot of naysayers. We all experience whatever you do. You're a writer, a
Mm-hmm.
makeup designer, a hair, costume, athlete. There's always somebody in your road, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think the great thing about this was a certain kind of liberty and freedom and people, but we don't have that afforded very often. And films are expensive and things. But
Right.
that can come from also smaller films. When I think of, it did occur to me, and there were a couple other references. I'm going to post them as, I had a whole wall of like Jody and Greta and
Yes.
Jared, but of Jody, there was one. I remember. I'll find it and post it. But I was in the a subway station. I can't remember where I was, and it was just I went. That's kind of it. There's sort
Yeah.
of something in it. And of course, I went to Jody and I always produce a wall, and you'll see that even I think on Instagram, all the pictures are up.
Mhm.
And it helps everybody because people coming in go, I kind of feel that. And it's very important for people
Yeah.
because it's a visual medium.
Yes.
Mhm. Understand that. I think this will be our last question. Looking ahead to the future of film, how do you see makeup artistry evolving as technology continues to push the boundaries of storytelling? And how would you be able to, you know, embrace that with your own storytelling?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of uncertainty and unknowns. I like to think a lot of practical makeup is always going to have to be done.
Mhm.
So for, young, new people aspiring to the industry, it's different. It is different. There is fewer jobs, there are fewer films being made. But I think we also have to educate people too. And because people do, I was with a bunch of school kids today, that I work with. There is, I think, something inspiring about getting the newer generation to start watching films again, make
Mhm.
it accessible, go to museums, have more free programs for people to attend,
Mm.
theater and performing arts and drag shows because everything is part of our culture. And speaking of drag, it was just funny the other night. I went back to watch, I don't know what made me watch Cabaret again, which is one of my
Mm,
favorite films of all
Mm,
time. And, you know, considering it was made in 1972,
hmm.
how clever
yeah.
that was and what they did. Um, I wish more people knew those films in the
Yes.
culture of it to say, I want to reference this, or I think we should try that. Or the makeup on Joel Grey was so staggering, you know, as the MC, which you could see today in a bar, in a club, somebody performing cabaret,
Yeah,
you know, or Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
that's one of our favorite cult classics right there.
You know, for me, I watch it every Halloween.
Yes.
I've just bought Tim Curry's book. Um,
Oh, awesome.
yeah, but I think for us, we have to stay, I think we have to stay passionate
Hmm.
and I know and adapt. We do have to adapt. There's no question.
Hmm.
You know, I'm a kid who grew up with VCRs and learning how to program them. And, you know, we thought we'd never learn, and who knew? Or
Hmm.
8-track cassettes. So I think we have to be vigilant, but we also have to demand that we have like content, we have movies, and not just be watching our phones and Instagram for movies, or because that's part of the problem is that the studios will only make what people will watch.
Mm. That's
Exactly.
sweet. That is
Yeah.
true. That is true.
That is that is a perfect way to wrap
Yeah.
that up because that is the message of what we've been pushing on our channel, and from now and into the future. I think
Okay.
you've hit the nail on the head with that. That's
Yeah.
once again that
You,
comes from wisdom because you
yeah.
can see these things, and I just appreciate you and everything you do and everyone
Yes. We
that
really
is,
do.
following you. It just that's
I,
wonderful.
I
Do you
thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Thank
Yes.
you so
do you have any final thoughts or anything that you have are looking forward to in the future?
Well, I look forward to seeing, you know, I love seeing films. I
Yeah.
love it. I love to go to the movies. Um, there's a lot of new films coming. I'm excited to see Wicked too. You know,
Oh
I,
God, yes.
there's a lot. I love all kinds of things, but I think I just look forward to seeing what people have done and what they're creating and working on and supporting other filmmakers.
Yes, sir.
You know, another film, Hedda. That
Mm-hmm.
is, I mean, a phenomenal film, great acting and costumes. And
Yes.
yeah, I think, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Oh, me too.
Awesome. We are as well. I'm ready for Wicked. We have some movies on our list as
Oh
well.
yes.
So, but we do appreciate you for stopping by and having
Absolutely.
this conversation with us at
Yes.
Diversity. We really do appreciate you. And
Okay.
we are big fans and we'll be
Oh
rooting
yeah.
for you and supporting
That's,
you
Always.
from the day. Yeah,
oh,
seriously.
that's very kind. It's very nice, John. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
thanks
You're
for
welcome.
having me.
Of
Thank you for
course.
coming. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
Alrighty.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And, all right.
Well, more diversity.
You know how we do.
That was a good one.
You know how we
I
do.
very enjoyed him. He
You know
was
how we do.
amazing.